finds a way.
Hi, CLATT! Alrighty, so today we got a big video, lots of things to cover, so let's try to do this as fast as we can. Today I'm going to give you guys a proper Israel travel guide, everything you possibly need to know about coming to this country. Just one thing I want to say right off the bat. Everything I tell you here is for your own personal use. This is in no way anything you have to follow, and I'm not taking any responsibility for anything that happens to you during your travels if you do follow this guide. With that said, let's begin. So I'm going to try to break this travel guide into a bunch of different sub-subjects because we're going to try to organize this as much as we can. So we're going to start off with places you need to visit. So as you can see on this map, we're going to break Israel into three subsections. The central part of Israel called the Melkaz, the north, which is called Hatzafon, and the south, which is called the Negev. There's a fourth part called the West Bank, but I don't have much knowledge about traveling there, so I'm not going to advise anything about it because I don't have much experience. Keep in mind that Israel is a tiny country the size of New Jersey, so you're never really far away from anything and you can never really get lost. Okay, so let's start with the Melkaz, or Central Israel. You are going to fly into Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv. Ben Gurion International is located about a 10-minute drive from central Tel Aviv, and it's about an hour to 2 hours away from Jerusalem. I would personally advise hitting up the coast of Israel before you head into Jerusalem just because of convenience of being so close when you land in Tel Aviv. There are too many things I could say about Tel Aviv, so I'll try to summarize it as fast as I can. Visit Yafo, the old city, seeing Middle Eastern food and Arab culture and amazing architecture right on the beach. Then head on to the promenade, or the Tayeret in Hebrew. There are plenty of shops and malls and bars and an amazingly beautiful beach. Then visit Dizengoff Center in Azrieli. As well in Tel Aviv you have the Carmel Market, or Shuka Carmel, which is an awesome place where you can go your negotiating on. Tel Aviv is a must stop. You cannot miss it. You have to hang out there and see all this stuff. We can break the Tzafon up into two parts, the Upper Galil and the Golan Heights. The Upper Galil is a mountainous region with scattered cities and towns all over. You're not going to see many high-rise buildings or giant towns. It's going to be mostly simplistic life, really nice people. It's kind of like going to countryside southern United States. You do have one giant town in the north called Haifa. It's a beautiful city that sits right on the Carmel Mountains. There's a bunch of national parks to go hiking in. There's places like Little Switzerland and the High Bar where you can see a lot of wildlife. There's great food there, there's great bars, there's great hostels and hotels, and you have the Bahi Gardens, which is a wonder within itself. It's one of the only cities that offers public transportation on Shabbat. I cannot recommend enough going there. Above Haifa, you have a place called Rosh Hanikra, which is the northeasternmost point of Israel. It's an amazing underwater cave system. You can't see a lot of wildlife there, and you can also stand right next to the border of Lebanon, which is a cool thing to be able to tell your friends. Now we're going to travel east and head towards the Golan Heights. In between Rosh Hanikra and the Golan Heights, there's a bunch of stuff. It's kind of stuff I would recommend to be self-exploration. If you want to take the chance and explore them yourselves, I would totally recommend it. There's too many little towns to cover, and forests and national parks and trails to cover, so it's just kind of go ahead and explore. So all the way east we have the city of Tiberias that sits on the Kinneret, or the Sea of Galilee, which is Israel's main water source. It is something you absolutely must see. This place is a very biblical area, and there's also a mountain called Mount Arbel, which sits right on the lake. Has many ties into Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. The city of Tiberias is pretty quiet and small. There is a nice promenade there with bars and amazing restaurants to eat fish. Traveling a little bit more east from Tiberias, you will reach the Golan Heights, which is by far the most mountainous region of Israel. At the top of the Golan Heights you have Mount Helmon, which is the highest point of Israel. It's bordered by Syria and Lebanon. In the winter you could actually go skiing in the Helmon when it gets cold enough. There's snow there, so that's something you could look out to do if you come here in the winter. It's lush forests, waterfalls, lots of water sources. It's kind of a self-exploration area. Now let's go to the south, the Negev. I'm going to include Jerusalem in the Negev just because it sits near the Dead Sea. Jerusalem is a must-see place. Most major religions in this world have some sort of tie into Jerusalem, and it is an absolute must-visit place. The city of Jerusalem itself, specifically the Old City, is where it's at. The Damascus Gate Market and Machane Yehuda Market. You have the Western Wall, the Dome of the Rock. You have the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Temple Mount, Mount Scopus, and plenty of churches to visit. As well, you have Yad Vashem, which is an amazing experience of going to a Holocaust museum. So east of Jerusalem, you have the Dead Sea, which in my eyes is one of the most wonderful things in the world. You have to go float there in the water and see the beautiful view of mountains of Jordan on the east. There's plenty of hotels there to stay in, and it's kind of more a luxurious relaxation part. Make it happen if you come here. So also in the desert by the Dead Sea is Masada, which is a giant mountain in the middle of the desert. You can hike to the top of it, and there's a bunch of ancient ruins there. It's really cool to see. You can come see it at sunrise sunrise or sunset and sitting on the Dead Sea is En-Gedi, a beautiful natural wildlife preserve where you can come see wild ibex and a bunch of different animals. It's a place where you have a bunch of waterfalls and water sources, and it's a super fun time to go hiking there. You have two main rivers there called David and Al-Aqsa. I would recommend going to Al-Aqsa because less people go there. It's a little bit of a harder hike, but it's definitely worth it. Going more south, you have the phenomenon of Mitzpe Ramon, which is an amazing crater in the middle of the desert. This is something I cannot explain in words. You can go rappelling there, rappel down the crater walls, and there are plenty of hikes to do inside the crater itself and then outside of the crater. And going more south than that, you have the beautiful southernmost point of Israel of the city of Eilat. And you can see Egypt to your right and Jordan to your left. It is a beautiful, absolutely amazing place. It's kind of regarded as the Vegas of Israel, even though I wouldn't really call it that because I've been to Vegas and it's not like Vegas at all. But it's kind of a place where Israelis go to vacation and party. There are plenty of bars and parties going on there 24/7. There's really fancy schmancy hotels, but there's also plenty of hostels for a budget traveler. It's really easy to get into Jordan from there because you have the border crossing, so you can go to Petra as well from there. This, if anything, is a place you have to come visit. Going snorkeling or diving in the Red Sea is an experience within itself. They have beautiful coral reserves with plenty of wildlife to come see, as well as an underwater observatory, skydiving, banana boating, and ATV rides through the desert. So here's a location that's a little bit harder to get to if you don't have a rental car, even though I pulled it off of the bus, which is an area called the Red Canyon, which is a little bit west of Eilat. Absolutely spectacular. Also one of my top favorite places I've been to. An amazing canyon formation. You get to climb up the walls and stuff. It's just crazy and it's really cool. It's definitely a hike I recommend and definitely a place you should come see if you're out here. That covers places to visit. I know I probably didn't cover every single place you should visit, but I think I got a majority of it down. Next, we're going to talk money and shopping. If you're planning on coming to Israel, I would recommend you come with a nice wad of cash because it is very expensive country. Their sales tax is something insane, like around 36%. I personally wouldn't recommend it from the shopping sense because there aren't a crazy amount of like insane, amazing malls here or anything. If you're coming here to go blow money on a shopping trip, I would recommend you do it in Europe. But then again, I'm a guy who shops at discount stores in the United States, so I'm not a really credible source on that. Your exchange rate for $1 US is about 3.7 to 4 shekels. It depends, it varies. Most things are very expensive here. If we're talking electronics, if we're talking clothes, if we're talking appliances, movie theaters, bars, and so on. You can exchange money almost anywhere here. Just keep in mind that speaking English in most places will make prices automatically a little bit higher than they actually were. Coming here, I definitely practice negotiating a little bit. I would plan on spending most of your time shopping for food in markets. That's where you can get food for super cheap. You can get probably 3 or 4 days worth of food for 20 bucks, which is about 100 shekel. I think that covers money. Let's get into transportation. I have to say that public transportation in Israel is absolutely amazing. Bus schedules are set up really nice. If you use Google Maps, you can get around the entire country. The train system in Israel is really simple and easy to use. It's hard to get lost on. And if you're an English speaker, there are more than enough people here to help you. Israelis are very helpful people. Taxis are definitely a must in some situations. Once again, like saying before, learn how to negotiate and haggle a little bit because they will overprice you, especially if you're speaking English. Hitchhiking is a subsection within itself. I would generally not recommend to hitchhike because of the political situation in Israel. Last summer, 3 teens were kidnapped while they were hitchhiking and they were murdered. I would say in the north it's generally safer to do it near a kibbutz because that's where we did it most of the time. But once again, you do not have my recommendation. Do it at your own risk. That covers transportation. Let's get into people. Israel, I believe, is the most diverse country in the Middle East. You have your classic American, Canadians, Australians, Kiwis, British and European travelers traveling through Israel. You also meet people from Sudan and Ethiopia and Thailand and the Philippines. Many who are immigrants who come to work here, but also a lot of them are citizens. You'll meet inhabitants of the desert, which is really interesting, like the Druze people and the Bedouins, which you can go experience by sleeping in the Bedouin tents in the desert and spending some time with them. You'll meet Arabs and Israelis and Christians and Catholics and Muslims and Jews all over the country. They're going to be some of the warmest, most genuine, kind-hearted people you've ever met in your life. Keep in mind that Israelis are very pushy and tend to treat you like family immediately, so don't take this the wrong way. Now let's talk security. So security is obviously the first issue that came into your head when I said the word Israel. In the media, this country is portrayed as constantly being under attack or under war or in violence and political issues. When you come here, you're going to see exactly the opposite, which is seriously some of the things I've heard from most of the tourists traveling around this country. Daily life is pretty quiet and simple. You have to come here knowing that there's always a chance of danger, even though it is pretty slim. I would say as an American, you're probably the safest you could be. Other than money, people don't really have anything else they want from you. I would avoid traveling through the West Bank or Arab settlements without a guide or somebody local there with you, but I do have friends who have done it alone and have had amazing experience, so just do that at your own risk. I would say research it a little bit before you go do it. You're always going to encounter young teens dressed in a green uniform holding a gun, whether it be on a bus or on a train or in the mall. These are IDF soldiers who are here to serve their time in the army, but also here for your security. I wouldn't ever come here in a sense of fear, but just in a sense of awareness. You have to be more aware than you are in the US. So keep in mind, almost everywhere you go, you're pretty much safe. Last but not least, let's get into food. There are so many things I could recommend you to eat, but I'm going to name a short list of a couple things that you must try when you're here. If you're in Yafo, Tel Tel Aviv or in any Arab city or village, I would recommend having the hummus immediately. It is some of the best hummus you have ever tried in your life, and it's unlike anything you can get in the US. As well as having some baklawa or baklava. It's like a Middle Eastern sweet, and it's just absolutely delicious. It's something you need to try. Having your classic falafel and shawarma are definitely some things you need to stick in your mouth. As well as checking out the Al-Aqsa places, which you can try an assortment of awesome meats, like baby chicken, which is palgiot, or chicken heart, which is delicious, or chicken liver, or maybe even some chicken tonsils. Other than that, come explore the food. That's an experience within itself that you must go on. It's a journey. It's a spiritual journey you need to go on. I want to close this up by saying that Israel is an amazing, beautiful country. I have many personal and religious connections to this country. It is very near and dear to my heart, including the fact that most of my family lives here. I genuinely feel very safe when I come here, and traveling throughout this country is something I recommend to literally anyone. So I hope this sums up Israel for you. I hope this gave you a really good sense and a good guide. Feel free to use this and share this with whoever you like. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave them down below. Do not hesitate. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And yeah, come travel to Israel. It's a great place. It's an awesome country. All right, CLATTs. I'll see you guys next time. I love you a long time. Later, CLATTs.